The first Romans did not think about empires. They thought about how to keep their grain dry, how to keep their goats safe from predators, how to make a roof from reeds and clay. Simple things, calming things. And as they built, they created rituals. Little ceremonies to bless their huts. Offerings to nameless spirits. The crackle of firewood in the night. The gentle hum of prayers whispered into the dark. Life, in those days, moved slowly. The sun rose. The fields needed tending. The animals needed feeding. The clay needed shaping. The children, always running, always laughing softly. And when the sun set, the day ended quietly. A few words exchanged by the fire. And then sleep, deep, dreamless sleep. This is where Rome began. Not in marble halls. Not in battles or conquests. But here, in these little moments. A child learning to weave a basket. An old man teaching his grandson how to plant barley. A woman humming softly as she grinds grain between stones. The smell of earth after rain. The glow of a fire in a simple hut. This is the first heartbeat of Rome. Time passed, and those little villages slowly grew closer. People married between them, traded tools, shared stories. And little by little, what was once many, became one. A single community, bound by simple needs. And though no one noticed it at first, a city was being born. Slowly, quietly. Like the moon rising over the hills. The river kept flowing. Always calm, always steady. And the people by the river kept building. Stone by stone, wall by wall. Never knowing that one day people would remember their names. Or rather, not remember their names. But remember what they built. You may feel your eyes growing heavy. And that is perfectly fine. Because the history of Rome is long and gentle. And we have 19 more chapters. But for now, rest in this beginning. The humble, quiet, sleepy beginnings of ancient Rome. Hello, and welcome. Tonight, we begin a very, very long journey through something you have probably heard of before. But never in quite this boring and calming way. Tonight, we talk about the ancient city of Rome. Now, please, get comfortable. You don't need to take notes. You don't need to stay awake. In fact, if at any point your eyes grow heavy, that is perfectly fine. The story will still be here, gently flowing, like a calm river, in the night. Let's start at the very beginning. Not the exciting battles. Not the grand emperors. But the quiet, almost dull, beginnings. Because Rome did not begin as a mighty empire. It began as a very small, rather unremarkable settlement on a group of hills. Long, long ago, around the 8th century before Christ, there were little villages scattered along the banks of a river called the Tiber. The Tiber is not a very impressive river, it flows gently, without great drama. But for those villagers, it was life itself. Water for their crops. A way to catch little fish. A natural path through the landscape. Imagine small wooden huts, smoke rising slowly from cooking fires. People weaving baskets, tending to goats, speaking softly in early Latin dialects. Children playing with sticks and clay. This was not yet Rome the mighty. This was Rome the humble. And perhaps Rome the sleepy. The land around them was gentle too. Rolling hills, nothing too steep, nothing too flat. And because of those hills, they chose to build on them. 1 hill, 2 hills, 3, until eventually, 7 hills. Soft mounds of earth, covered in grass. Their names were the Palatine, the Aventine, the Capitoline, the Quirinal, the Viminal, the Esquiline, and the Celian. You don't need to remember those names. Just let them drift, like soft leaves in your mind. Palatine. Aventine. Capitoline. Quirinal. Viminal. Esquiline. Celian. soft, strange words from far away, long ago. At first, the people living there were just trying to survive. There were no grand armies, no marble temples, no statues of emperors. Just farmers, shepherds, and craftsmen. Mending their tools, gathering around simple fires, telling quiet stories. At the end of a long day, historians like to tell stories about two brothers, Romulus and Remus, raised by a she-wolf, fighting over where to build their city, until one brother killed the other, and named the city after himself. Romulus. Rome. It is a dramatic legend. But tonight, let's not think of drama. Let's think of something slower. Imagine two boys simply walking across a hill. The wind softly blowing through the tall grass. A wolf resting in the shade, no violence, no shouting. Just the quiet decision to build something. Something small. Something that would, over centuries, become enormous. Evenings were calm. After a day of tending to fields or mending fences, they would gather around fires. Simple fires, crackling gently. And tell stories. Stories of ancestors. Stories of spirits who lived in the trees or the streams. Stories of small triumphs, like a good harvest or a newborn goat. These were not epic tales of conquest, but little whispers of everyday life. And those whispers are where Rome's soul began. The river Tiber still flowed gently, as always. And slowly, small wooden bridges appeared. Not the grand stone arches you might imagine. Just planks of wood, laid across narrow parts of the river. But even those small bridges meant something. They meant people could reach each other more easily. Trade more, help more, share more. Time moved on. And something curious began to happen. More people arrived. Travelers from neighboring villages. Merchants carrying baskets of salt, or wine, or pottery. They would stop by the river, set down their goods. And slowly, they began to stay. One family, then another. Until the huts spread further. The markets grew larger. And the gentle hum of life grew just a little louder. But still soft, still calm, still slow. These people brought new words, new customs. And little by little, these threads were woven into the fabric of the village. They began to share gods. Gods of the sky, of the harvest, of the household. Small statues carved from clay, set in corners of huts. A flickering oil lamp placed beside them. And a quiet prayer whispered before sleep. There were small challenges, of course. A dry season, when the crops did not grow so well. A storm that swept through and tore a few roofs away. But each time, the village rebuilt. Slowly, patiently. As if the hills themselves gave them strength. And so, the idea of Rome began to form. Not as a mighty kingdom. Not as an empire of legions. But as a simple, sturdy community. A place where people worked together. Where life moved with the rhythm of the seasons. Where the Tiber flowed gently under the moonlight. And the hills watched silently. As each day faded into night. Perhaps, as you listen, you can picture it. A quiet dusk. The sun melting into soft orange and pink behind the hills. Smoke rising in lazy spirals from cooking fires. The faint sound of a flute played somewhere in the distance. Children drifting off to sleep on straw mats. Elders murmuring softly, telling the old stories again. Because stories were how they remembered. How they taught. How they dreamed. And so, as the night deepens, and the stars will slowly across the sky, Rome sleeps. Still small, still humble. But already, becoming something more. And you, as you listen, may feel yourself drifting too. Into a soft, gentle sleep. With the quiet beginning, welcome back. Or maybe, you never left. Maybe you drifted into sleep, and now you are gently waking. Or maybe you are still awake, just lying there, calm, listening to the long, slow story of ancient Rome. We last spoke about the early hills, the little huts, and the people who lived quietly by the Tiber River. Now, let us move forward, but not too quickly. Let us take each step, slowly, gently, as we watch that little village begin to change. Time in the ancient world did not move fast. There were no ticking clocks on every wall, no buzzing phones or glowing screens. Just the sun, rising and setting, and in between, life happening at a steady, patient rhythm. In those early days, Rome was not yet Rome. It was a collection of clans, small family groups, each with their own traditions, their own ways of speaking, their own little gods. They would gather together on certain days for simple markets, trading a sack of grain for a clay pot or a woven basket for a few strips of dried meat. Picture that market. No shouting, no crowds. Just a few people quietly walking between stalls. The smell of bread baking over a small fire. The soft murmur of old women talking about the weather. Children tugging at their mothers' hands, pointing at little trinkets carved from wood. It was not grand. It was not exciting. But it was peaceful. And peace, after all, is what allows people to build. The hills, those 7 gentle hills, became more than just homes. They became places of meeting. The Palatine Hill, where some of the earliest huts were built. The Capitoline Hill, where people might gather to watch the sunset. The Aventine, where farmers tilled the soil. One hill to the next, paths were worn into the earth. Paths that would later become roads. But for now, were just dirt trails. Soft beneath bare feet. Warm under the afternoon sun. As seasons passed, they began to build little walls. Not tall stone fortresses, but low walls of packed earth and wood. To mark boundaries. To keep animals in. To keep wild creatures out. And as those walls went up, the sense of a community grew stronger. They planted crops in wider fields. Barley, wheat, lentils. Crops that grew slowly, needing care. And as the plants grew, so did the village. The men learned to work iron tools, shaping them with patient hands. The women spun wool into yarn, humming softly as they worked. The children learned, by watching and by doing. Until every generation felt connected to the next. Welcome back. Or maybe, you never really left. Perhaps you've been resting, letting these quiet words float around you. Or perhaps you're still awake, eyes half closed, simply listening. Tonight, we continue our long, calm walk through the sleepy history of Rome. We've seen the little huts, the farmers, the traders. But now, we drift forward, gently, into a time when those people began to look for guidance. Someone to lead them. Someone to keep order. Someone to watch over their growing community. And so, Rome, slowly, found its first kings. Not kings in the way you might imagine. Not men with golden crowns and endless armies. But men chosen from among them. Respected elders, wise warriors. People who knew when to speak, and when to remain silent. The first name we hear in the old stories is Romulus, the legendary founder. But imagine him not as a fierce warrior. Imagine him as a calm, thoughtful leader. Walking through the village at dusk. Stopping to speak with the farmers. Helping to settle small disputes. Listening more than he spoke. Under Romulus, they began to build simple rules. Nothing written, just spoken agreements. Promises made in front of the whole village. To be fair, to share the water, to guard each other's fields. And those promises became tradition. Tradition became custom. Custom became the first laws. Softly spoken, gently remembered. Years passed, and new kings came. each leaving a quiet mark on the growing settlement. One of them, they say, was Numa Pompilius. He was not a warrior. He was known for his calm spirit, his wisdom. He taught the people about ceremonies, about honoring the unseen forces of the world. He lit sacred fires, not to dazzle, but to remind everyone that life was a gift, and that even the smallest things deserved gratitude. Picture a quiet morning in his time. The mist rising from the Tiber. Villagers walking slowly toward a small altar, placing offerings of grain, or flowers, or oil, bowing their heads in silence. Not because they feared punishment, but because it felt right to pause and be thankful. These kings also watched over the markets. They made sure the weights used by merchants were fair, that no one cheated their neighbor. And so the market grew. Not chaotic, but steady, with new goods arriving from neighboring lands. Olive oil in small clay jars, salt from the coast, woven cloth from distant villages. Each item carrying with it a little piece of the wider world. As you imagine these early kings, don't see grand palaces. See simple wooden halls, with beams darkened by years of smoke. See a leader sitting on a plain wooden stool, listening to disputes, speaking softly, reminding everyone that they were one people now, that the hills, the river, the fields were theirs to share. Another king, Tullus Hostilius, brought change as well. He thought of defense. He trained young men to fight. But even this, in its early days, was quiet and measured. Not armies marching across continents, but a few groups of farmers learning to hold spears, learning to stand together, to protect their homes should danger ever come. Danger, in those days, was small. A band of raiders, a sudden dispute with a neighboring tribe. Nothing too grand, nothing too loud. Just small sparks of conflict, quickly fading as peace returned. As Rome grew, they built more than huts. They began to shape small temples, simple shrines made of wood and clay, with flickering oil lamps that burned through the night, casting soft light on statues carved by patient hands. These were not yet the grand marble temples you might know, but their simplicity had its own beauty. The kind of beauty you might miss unless you look very closely, very slowly. Picture a night in those times. A soft wind blowing over the hills. A temple standing quietly. Inside, a single flame, glowing gently. A priest whispering prayers. A few villagers kneeling, eyes closed, breathing in the calm, letting the night wrap around them like a blanket. The kings also began to mark the land. Little by little, they dug ditches, built wooden fences, traced the outlines of what would one day be mighty walls. But in these early days, they were just careful boundaries, not meant to keep the world out, but to remind themselves, this is our home. This is where we belong. Generations passed. Children grew into elders. And the names of these kings became whispers, half remembered in the stories told by firelight. But their impact remained. In the way the people worked together. In the way they gathered for markets. In the way they shared water from the Tiber. In the way they honored the seasons with quiet ceremonies. You might expect that such a growing place would be full of noise. But life still moved gently. The fields still needed tending. The animals still needed care. The hills still watched silently. And the river still flowed. Calm, unhurried, timeless. As you listen, imagine yourself walking through those early streets. Narrow paths of packed earth, lined with huts, their thatched roofs glowing softly in the evening light. The air carrying the scent of baked bread. The distant sound of a mother singing a lullaby. A dog barking softly, then settling down to sleep. And above, the endless stars. The same stars you might see tonight. Shining quietly, watching over Rome and over you. And so, with these early kings, Rome began to feel less like a cluster of huts, and more like a true city. A city still small, still humble, but growing, and always moving at its own gentle pace. As you drift further into the night, remember, Rome was not built in a day. It was built slowly, lovingly, with patience and care. Just like the slow rhythm of your breath, in and out, softly, calmly. As we end this chapter, and let the next one wait until you are ready. And now, we return to the quiet hills by the Tiber River, to that small but growing settlement that would one day be called Rome. You may still feel the echoes of the early kings. Their calm voices, their simple rules. The soft hum of village life. But as time moved gently forward, something new began to take shape. The people began to see their home, not just as huts, not just as scattered families, but as something greater. A living place, with a heart and a spirit. Let us wander, slowly, through its paths. Let us listen to the sounds. The gentle lowing of cattle. The soft calls of women drawing water from the wells. The distant rhythm of hammers, shaping wood and clay. A rhythm steady and slow, like you're breathing in and out, as you rest and listen. The early builders of Rome were not in a hurry. They did not imagine marble arches or tall columns. They built with what they had. With earth, with timber, with stone gathered from nearby hills. They shaped streets where there had been only tracks. Smoothed the ground, packed it down with careful hands. Until you could walk from one hut to another, without stumbling. Little plazas began to form. Open spaces where people met. Where children played in the dust. Where elders sat on low stones, speaking softly of seasons past. These plazas were not yet grand forums. But they were alive. Alive with laughter, with trade, with quiet conversations. At the center of many huts, they placed a hearth. A fire that never went out. A place to cook, a place to gather. A place to tell stories while the night deepened. Imagine that soft glow. The crackle of wood. The way the flames danced on the faces of those listening. No one hurried, no one shouted. There was only the fire, and the voice of the storyteller. And around these hearths, something subtle began to grow. A sense of belonging. A sense that this city was not just earth and wood, but something alive. Something everyone cared for. As the seasons passed, they began to mark the land more clearly. They dug shallow ditches. They set up wooden posts to guide travelers. They marked places for markets, places for worship, places for rest. These marks were not meant to divide, but to guide. To say quietly, "This is where we trade, this is where we pray, this is where we gather." Let us stroll, in our minds, through these early streets. See the baskets of grain carried by strong shoulders. Hear the soft sound of clay jars clinking together. Smell the sweet smoke from cooking fires. Feel the gentle breeze as it moves over the hills. There is no rush here. Time itself seems to walk slowly, beside you. In those days, the river was everything. The Tiber was their road, their lifeline. Boats carved from hollowed tree trunks glided on its surface. Bringing fish, bringing reeds, bringing news from afar. At night, the moonlight shimmered on the water. Silver and soft. While frogs croaked in the reeds. A gentle chorus that lulled the village to sleep. Temples, too, began to change. At first, only simple shrines. But then, small buildings, raised with care. Walls painted with faint colors. Roofs of clay tiles, glowing orange in the sun. Here, the people whispered prayers for good harvests. For healthy children. For peace. Imagine standing in one of those temples. The air cool and still. A faint scent of herbs burning. A single statue at the center. Not large, not grand. But meaningful. A symbol of hope. A reminder that they were part of something greater. And so, piece by piece, hut by hut, path by path, Rome began to take shape. It was not loud. It was not sudden. It was like watching a plant grow. Slowly, silently. Until one day, you look and see leaves and flowers. Where once there was only bare earth. The kings continued to guide them. But it was the people, quietly working. Who built the walls? Who shaped the roads? Who carried stones from one place to another? Day after day, season after season. Until their little village became something more. Night would fall and the work would stop. Fires would be lit. Voices would grow softer. Children would drift into sleep. And above, the stars would watch, as always, twinkling gently over the 7 hills. Perhaps, as you hear this, you can feel that same calm. A world moving slowly. A people shaping their future without knowing it. Each small action a thread in a larger tapestry. Rome was still far from the empire it would become. But its heart was beating. Quietly, steadily. Like the rhythm of your own breath. In and out. Soft and steady. As this chapter comes to a close. Sleep now, if you wish. Or simply rest. And let the gentle beginnings of Rome carry you into dreams. We return now. To that quiet place. To those 7 hills. And to the people who lived between them. The night might be deep where you are. Perhaps your eyes are heavy. But let us walk slowly through another chapter. In the gentle history of ancient Rome. By now, the little settlement had grown. More huts, more families, more fires glowing at dusk. And with growth came movement. People needed to go from one place to another. Carrying grain, carrying news. Carrying the rhythm of life from hill to hill. At first, they only followed the dirt paths. Trails worn by feet and hooves. Paths that wound between fields. Soft underfoot after the spring rains. Dry and dusty in the summer sun. Children played along these paths. Farmers led oxen slowly down them. And travelers paused to rest in the shade of olive trees. But Rome, even in those earliest days, had a quiet vision. The people began to think. What if these paths could last longer? What if they could carry us beyond the hills, to distant villages, and back again, safely, steadily? And so, they began to build. Not quickly, never quickly. But patiently, stone by stone. They laid gravel, packed it down. Then placed larger stones on top. Fitting them carefully, like pieces of a puzzle. Until a road began to appear. These first roads were simple. Yet there was something special about them. They were like threads. Connecting one part of life to another. Allowing the markets to grow. Allowing neighbors to visit with ease. Allowing Rome to stretch out its hands. Just a little farther. Imagine yourself standing on one of those first roads. The stones still new. Warm under the afternoon sun. A soft wind moving through the fields. And ahead of you, a line of huts. Their roofs catching the golden light. Behind you, the hills, calm and eternal. And beneath your feet, the solid promise. That Rome was building something meant to endure. The roads brought more than trade. They brought people. Travelers from distant places. Merchants carrying strange fabrics. Priests from faraway temples. Each bringing stories, songs, and new ideas. Around the fires at night, the villagers listened. They heard of distant seas, of mountains taller than any hill they had seen. And though their lives remained simple, their minds began to wander far beyond the Tiber. With more people came more building. Small bridges of wood became sturdier. Stone piers rose from the riverbanks. And soon, carts could cross without fear, carrying baskets of olives, clay pots filled with oil, and woven cloth, soft to the touch. The river still flowed calmly, but now it carried the laughter of boatmen, the soft splash of oars, and the creak of ropes under weight. In the heart of the settlement, the plaza grew busier. Market stalls were built with care. Wooden tables smoothed by years of use. Baskets of fruit and grain laid out in neat rows. The quiet hum of voices bartering gently. There was no rush, no frantic shouting. Only the steady rhythm of a city learning how to live together. At night, those roads and bridges seemed to disappear, hidden under the soft darkness. But the people knew they were there, connecting them all, even as they slept. Lanterns glowed in the distance, little points of light like fireflies, marking where homes stood, marking where life quietly continued. The roads also brought something else, a sense of order. The kings began to send men to keep them clear, to repair stones after a storm, to guide travelers when they arrived. And those who worked on the roads were proud. They knew each stone they placed was part of something larger, something that would outlast their own lifetimes. There were still no grand armies, no vast temples, only a growing network of paths and people. But these simple things were the seeds of greatness. A road, after all, is not just a road. It is a promise, a path toward tomorrow. As you picture those roads, feel the calm of their steady lines, stretching into the horizon. Quiet, patient, enduring. Imagine the soft sound of sandals on stone, the gentle clop of hooves, the murmur of voices carried by the wind. There is no need to hurry. There is no need to reach the end. It is enough, simply to walk, and feel the world unfolding gently before you. Night falls again. The roads rest in the moonlight. The fields lie still, and the Tiber hums softly to itself, as it has done for centuries. Fires glow in the huts. Children are rocked to sleep, and the elders sit quietly, watching the stars, remembering the days when there were no roads, only trails in the dust, and marveling at how far they have come. And so, with calm hearts and patient hands, the people of Rome continued their work, unaware of the empire that would one day rise. Content, for now, to shape their little city, stone by stone, road by road, dream by dream. Rest easy now. Let these roads lead you softly into sleep. Let their quiet strength wrap around you, until the next chapter begins. The night is quiet. The air is cool. The story continues. Rome, small but growing, had its roads now. Those steady lines of stone, connecting huts and markets. Bridges over gentle waters. A people learning to move together. But with growth came a thought. A simple, careful thought. We must protect what we've built. And so, the idea of walls began to form. Not walls to shut out the world, but walls to hold a home safe. Like arms around a sleeping child. It began quietly. A meeting of elders beneath the fading light of day. Men and women gathered. Their voices low. Their hearts calm but thoughtful. They spoke of storms. Of wandering bands that might one day bring harm. Of how the fields were wide. The roads were long. And the people deserved peace. And so, they agreed to build a circle of protection. Not towering stone, not yet. But earth and timber. Ditches were dug slowly, their edges smooth. Wooden stakes were placed side by side, pointed tips glinting softly in the sun. Imagine the sound of those early workers. The soft scrape of shovels. The creak of ropes as logs were lifted. The gentle rhythm of mallets tapping wood into place. No one hurried. Each task was done with care. Each movement part of something larger. Days passed. The walls began to rise. At night, lanterns flickered along the work sites, casting long shadows on the ground. Children watched from nearby huts, eyes wide with wonder, whispering to each other. Rome is becoming strong. When the wall was finished, it was not just a barrier. It was a symbol. A sign that this place, these hills, these people, were something worth keeping safe. Inside the walls, life went on. Calm and steady markets still hummed with quiet conversation. Temple fires still burned softly through the night. The roads that led inward now ended in gateways. Simple wooden gates that swung open at dawn and closed gently at dusk. Picture those gates in the evening light. A faint orange glow from the setting sun. Guards leaning against their spears. Not tense, but relaxed. Watching the last few farmers return with baskets of figs. Watching a boatman unload his nets. His day's work done. Within the walls, homes became sturdier. Wood gave way to stone foundations. Roofs were thatched with greater care, so the spring rains would not seep through. Courtyards grew gardens. Small patches of herbs and flowers. Soft green life within the wooden frames. Imagine walking through those narrow streets. Your feet feel the packed earth beneath them. A gentle breeze moves through the alleyways. Somewhere, a woman hums a lullaby as she lights a tiny oil lamp, placing it by the doorway to guide her husband home. The walls did something else, too. They gave the people a sense of belonging. A feeling that they were part of something bigger. Something safe. Something that would last. In the cool evenings, elders would sit by the gates. They would speak softly of how things once were. When there were no roads, no markets, no walls. They would shake their heads and smile, amazed at how much had changed. And how calm it all felt. Despite the growth. The river still sang its quiet song beyond the walls. The hills still watched silently. And above, the stars looked down. The same as always. The same as they look down on you now. Perhaps you can hear it. That soft rhythm of life. A rhythm not rushed. Not loud. But patient. The walls would one day become stone. They would one day be tested by armies. But in these early days, they were simply a circle of care. A promise whispered by the people. This is our home. We will keep it safe. We will let it grow. And so, Rome slept each night, knowing those wooden stakes stood quietly around them. That the gates would open with the morning light. And that life, steady and simple, would flow on. You, too, may rest now. Let the image of those walls surround you. Not to hold you in, but to keep you safe. To give you peace. Breathe slowly. Let the rhythm of Rome's early heart become the rhythm of your own. In and out. Softly, gently. As this chapter draws to a close. The night deepens. Your breathing is slow and easy. And now, we step quietly back into ancient Rome. The roads are in place. The walls embrace the little city. And within those walls, life hums softly under the watchful eyes of early kings. These kings. They were not like the emperors you may have heard about. There were no great palaces of marble yet. No legions marching in distant lands. No, these early kings were close to their people. They lived simply, spoke gently, and ruled more like fathers than conquerors. Imagine the first light of dawn. A pale glow on the horizon. Inside the wooden gates, a few voices stir. A shepherd rises from his mat, wraps a simple cloak around his shoulders, and steps into the cool morning air. Somewhere nearby, the king wakes too. A man perhaps older, wise from seasons of watching the hills and river. He ties his sandals, breathes in the calm, and prepares to walk among his people. Each king in those early days carried with him a sense of duty. Not grand speeches, not golden crowns, but the steady work of guiding a growing village, deciding where a new well should be dug, where a market should stand, when to sow and when to harvest. Their voices were calm, their movements measured, and the people trusted them. Picture the king sitting on a low wooden seat beneath an olive tree. The elders gather around him, each one speaking in turn. No one shouts, no one interrupts. The king listens, his brow furrowed not in anger, but in thought. When he speaks, his tone is quiet, yet carries across the little plaza like a gentle wind. We will build the new well by the eastern path. The soil there is soft, and the water flows close. The elders nod slowly. The matter is settled. And the day moves on. These kings also watched over the festivals. Small gatherings under the open sky. When the harvest was brought in. When the sheep returned from far fields. On these nights, lanterns glowed softly. Music drifted in the air. And the king would walk among the people, accepting cups of wine, listening to songs. No ceremony, no distance. Just a man among his people, smiling at the children as they danced in the dust. Beyond the walls, the world was wide and unknown. Other tribes moved through the forests. Other villages dotted the hills. But within the walls, there was calm. And that calm was nurtured by leadership that did not rush. When disputes arose, the king heard both sides. When storms damaged a road, he sent workers to mend it. He ruled like the seasons ruled the land. With quiet cycles, with patience. One king, it is said, loved to walk the riverbanks at night. The moon would shine on the gentle current. The reeds would sway. And he would murmur prayers to the river spirits, asking them to keep the fish plentiful, to keep the floods away. Perhaps he paused sometimes, to listen to the distant croak of frogs, or the whisper of wind through the grass, feeling the same peace you might be feeling now. Under such rule, the people flourished. They built more homes. They taught their children to weave baskets, to shape clay into sturdy jars, to tend gardens with careful hands. The sound of laughter carried through the streets. Fires burned low in the evenings, casting warm light on tired faces. Faces content with simple lives. You might imagine sitting by one of those fires. A bowl of warm stew in your hands. The king's voice somewhere nearby, soft and reassuring as he tells of plans for the coming season. You feel safe. You feel part of something that will last. The night sky stretches overhead. A blanket of stars, each one steady and bright. Not all was perfect, of course. Sometimes there were quarrels. Sometimes the harvest failed. But the kings were steady. They reminded the people of their strength, their unity. And together they endured. Little by little. These early kings shaped the spirit of Rome. Not with swords, but with wisdom. Not with noise, but with patience. And that spirit still lingers in the story we tell tonight. So as this chapter closes, let yourself rest in that calm world. Feel the steady guidance of those early kings. Their quiet presence. Their careful hands shaping a future they could not yet see. The roads, the walls, the markets, the fields, all held gently together by their watchful care. Breathe deeply now, in and out, letting the gentle rhythm of ancient Rome guide you toward peace, toward rest, toward dreams as steady as those early footsteps on the soft earth of the 7 hills. The night deepens around us. Outside your window, the world may be quiet. A soft wind moving through the trees, or the hush of still air holding the stars in place. In ancient Rome, too, there were nights like this. Nights when the people gathered around sacred fires, believing they could hear, if they listened carefully, the whispers of the gods. Within the young city, among the huts and early stone homes, stood small shrines, simple places of worship. Not grand temples, but wooden frames draped with woven cloth. Altars built from smooth river stones. Here the people left offerings. A handful of grain, a sprig of olive leaves, a clay cup of fresh milk. And they bowed their heads, hoping for good harvests, for safe journeys, for calm hearts. In those days, they believed every hill had a spirit. Every river carried a voice. The Tiber itself was sacred, its waters carrying prayers downstream to places unknown. Sometimes, at dusk, the priestesses would walk softly to the river's edge, their robes brushing the grass, their hands holding small bowls of wine. They would pour it gently into the current, watching the ripples carry their hopes away. At the heart of the settlement, a special fire burned day and night. It was tended by women known as the Vestals. They were chosen carefully, young girls who vowed to serve the goddess of the hearth, Vesta, whose spirit was believed to guard every home. These priestesses lived simply, spoke softly, and moved with a grace that felt almost otherworldly. Their task was clear. The fire must never go out. If it flickered, if it died, it was believed misfortune would fall upon Rome. Imagine walking into that sacred space. It is quiet. The walls lit by the steady glow of the flames. The air smells of burning olive oil and fresh herbs. The priestesses move like shadows, placing wood upon the embers, whispering prayers in a language older than memory. You feel safe here, protected, wrapped in the warmth of something eternal. Around these fires, stories were told. Soft voices spoke of gods who shaped the land, who sent the rains, who watched over the cattle and the fields. Children listened with wide eyes, their heads resting on their mothers' laps, as elders spoke of Mars, the quiet protector, and Jupiter, who watched the sky. The stories were not loud or frightening. They were gentle, like lullabies carried by the evening breeze. The kings, too, would visit these shrines. They would step quietly into the glow of the sacred fire, kneel, and leave their offerings. Not for glory, but for guidance. For they knew, a city is more than walls and roads. It is also faith. And faith must be tended like a flame. Some nights, festivals would bloom softly in the streets, lanterns hung from wooden poles, casting little halos of light. Musicians played quiet melodies on flutes and lyres, their notes drifting like smoke through the air. People carried wreaths of laurel and olive, placing them on doorways and shrines. A sign of peace, a sign of hope. The king might walk among them, his steps unhurried, a smile faint on his lips as he watched the children dance. These sacred fires did more than honor the gods. They gave the people a rhythm, a sense of connection. When a baby was born, a small flame from the temple would be carried to the home to bless the new life. When someone passed away, a prayer was whispered by the fire. asking the gods to guide them gently onward. The people believed that as long as the fires burned, Rome itself would endure. Picture a night when the air was still, and the stars above were countless. In the temple, the fire glowed softly. A priestess hummed a tune, perhaps a lullaby from her own childhood. A farmer entered quietly, placing a basket of grain before the altar, bowing his head in thanks for the harvest. Outside, the sound of crickets rose and fell, a natural chorus blending with the murmurs of prayer. And in that moment, the people of Rome felt something larger than themselves. Not fear, but peace. A sense that they were watched over, cared for, guided by unseen hands. That feeling flowed through the streets, through the homes, through the hearts of those who lived there. As you rest now, imagine those sacred fires burning steadily through the night. Feel their warmth reaching you across centuries, reminding you of calm, of protection, of a world where even the smallest flame carries meaning. Let that image stay with you as your eyes grow heavy. The fires will not go out. They burn softly still. A promise whispered in the quiet of ancient Rome. You are safe. You are part of something eternal. Sleep peacefully. The night is deep. But in our story, the sun is just beginning to rise again over ancient Rome. Light seeps gently over the hills, touching the wooden walls, sliding across the rooftops, and waking the little city from its quiet slumber. Inside the walls, there is movement now. Not hurried, not loud, but a soft rhythm, the rhythm of a market day. You can almost hear it. A cart creaks as it rolls over packed earth. The sound of hooves slow, deliberate. A vendor calls out softly, offering olives freshly picked. Somewhere, a dog barks once, then settles back into the shade of a doorway. Imagine walking through those narrow lanes, the cool air still clinging to the morning. You pass a woman arranging clay pots in neat rows. Each one is simple, smooth to the touch, still smelling faintly of the fire that baked it. She smiles quietly as you pass. No words, just a nod of welcome. A little further on, a baker sets out flat loaves, still warm, steam rising into the cool air. The scent is rich and comforting. Grain from nearby fields, ground by stone, mixed with water from the sacred wells, baked in ovens lined with smooth clay. Children dart through the street, their laughter soft but bright, each carrying a tiny loaf in their hands, tearing off pieces as they run. The market is not grand. It is humble, but full of life. A man with rough hands holds up a woven basket of figs, their dark skins glowing in the sunlight. Beside him, a fisherman unwraps his nets, revealing silver-scaled river fish, still damp from the morning catch. And over it all, there is a hum, a low murmur of voices. A song of exchange and trust. Picture a group of elders gathered near a shaded corner. They speak in calm tones, discussing the planting of next season's crops, sharing advice that has passed through generations. Their words are patient, their smiles gentle. Nothing is rushed. Everything takes its time. Above, the rooftops catch the sun fully now. Smoke curls from hearths as meals are prepared. A mother hums a lullaby to a baby strapped close to her chest. A pot of stew simmers slowly, filled with herbs gathered from a small garden, the aroma drifting into the street. A passerby closes his eyes briefly, breathing it in, a small moment of contentment. These markets were more than trade. They were meetings of hearts. People came not only to buy and sell, but to talk, to laugh quietly, to hear news from distant fields. A traveler might speak of a neighboring village, a new variety of grain, or a story carried by word of mouth. These stories would ripple outward, carried like the gentle current of the Tiber. Sometimes, musicians would appear. A man with a reed flute, or a young girl with a lyre. The music would weave through the marketplace, soft and sweet. And for a moment, everyone would pause. The vendors would lean on their stalls. The elders would close their eyes. And the children would gather in a circle to sway with the melody. It was not grand entertainment, but it was enough to make the heart feel light. And as the day warmed, the market would shift. Shadows grew shorter. Voices softened as people carried their baskets home. The streets would empty slowly, leaving only a few vendors packing away their wares, tying bundles of herbs, covering their remaining loaves with cloth. The air, now scented with bread and olives and flowers, would grow still again. Through it all, the walls of the city stood silently, watching. The roads led inward and outward, linking lives beyond the horizon. The fires at the shrines burned softly, carrying prayers into the sky. And the people, these early Romans, moved with a pace that let them notice every sound, every scent, every detail of their day. You might imagine yourself now, sitting on a low stone bench near the edge of the market, a loaf of warm bread in your lap, the chatter of neighbors drifting by, the golden light of morning washing over everything. It is peaceful. It is enough. The world outside the walls can wait. For now, there is only this simple rhythm: trade, laughter, sunlight, and rest. As the day draws on, the market grows quiet, but the memory of it lingers. The sound of flutes, the smile of a potter, the warm bread, the silver fish, all of it settles gently into the heart of Rome. And as you rest now, let those images settle gently in your mind. A calm market, soft voices, the slow beat of life. No rush, no worry, just peace, as steady as the ancient stones beneath your feet. Breathe deeply. Let your eyes close, and let yourself drift with the soft rhythm of those early streets. Knowing you are safe, knowing you are part of something timeless. The night around you is quiet. Your breathing has grown steady and slow. And once again, we travel back to the gentle heartbeat of early Rome. The sun is setting now over the 7 hills. Golden light spills across the fields. Shadows lengthen against the wooden walls that ring the city. These walls are not grand or towering like those you may imagine from later ages. No marble, no iron gates. Just timber, fitted carefully, stacked and bound by the hands of the very people they protect. Step closer in your mind. Run your hand along those beams. The surface is rough but strong. Each log was carried from a nearby forest, peeled of its bark, and set into the earth with care. The gaps were filled with clay, so no wind or arrow could slip through. By day, they look plain, but in the glow of the setting sun, they take on a warm, golden hue, as if the walls themselves are alive, breathing softly with the city they encircle. Along these walls walk the sentinels. They are not many, and they do not wear bright armor. Their tunics are simple, their sandals dusty from long hours of pacing. But they walk with purpose, eyes scanning the fields beyond, watching the line where earth meets sky. Sometimes they see nothing but waving grass, sometimes a distant herd of sheep. Once in a while, the shadow of another traveler on the horizon. They walk in pairs. One is older, telling stories in a low voice. The other is younger, listening, learning, keeping his gaze on the distance. They speak of weather, of harvests, of small happenings in the marketplace. Their words are calm, Their steps slow. Their presence steady. A living reassurance to those within the walls of below them, within the gate. Children play in the dust. They toss pebbles, laughing softly as the evening air cools. Mothers call them in for supper, their voices carrying gently through the streets. Smoke curls from chimneys as bread is warmed and stews are stirred. The scent of herbs drifts over the rooftops, mixing with the faint sweetness of ripe figs stored in baskets. The sentinels pause. One rests his hands on the wooden railing, looking out over the Tiber River. Its surface glows like molten gold in the fading light. He can hear the soft murmur of water, the rustle of reeds in the breeze. Far off, a bird calls. Then silence. A deep, comforting silence. The kind that settles over a place that feels safe. At the gate itself, 2 guards sit on low stools. Their spears rest against the timber. They speak in hushed tones, exchanging news with a passing farmer. He has brought in a cart of grain, and he smiles as he tells them of the quiet fields, the good soil, the promise of another harvest. The guards nod, content to hear good tidings. The farmer moves on, and the guards return to their quiet watch. Beyond the walls, the world is wide and uncertain. But here, within, there is peace. The people know the sentinels walk each night. They know the gates are closed at dusk. The fires are lit. The walls stand strong. And so they rest easy, sharing supper, telling stories, listening to the crackle of firewood. A grandmother hums to a baby, rocking gently on a wooden stool. An elder carves a piece of wood, shaping it into a toy. A young couple sits by the threshold of their home, watching the stars appear one by one. They feel the walls around them, not as a cage, but as an embrace. Up on the walkway, a sentinel stops. He lifts his gaze to the horizon. The last light is fading. The first stars glimmer. He smiles softly to himself. Another day has passed, quiet and uneventful, just as it should be. He taps his companion on the shoulder, and together they light a small torch, its glow flickering against the timber. A signal of watchfulness, a promise kept through the night. Imagine yourself now, standing on that wall with them. The wind brushes your face, carrying the scent of earth and wood and distant rain. The city below murmurs softly, a cradle of life and warmth. You look out over the darkening fields, and you feel no fear. Only calm. Only the deep sense that you belong to a place that cares, that watches, that endures. As the night deepens, the sentinels continue their steady walk. The walls stand silent but strong. The fires glow within each home. And slowly, softly, the city drifts into slumber. A small city. A young Rome. Wrapped in wooden walls and gentle watchfulness. Breathe deeply now. Let your mind rest against those walls. Feel their warmth, their strength. And know that, like the people of ancient Rome, you are safe. Surrounded by calm. Ready to drift into dreams under the same eternal stars. The night around you is gentle. And our journey drifts onward. Back through time. To another evening in ancient Rome. Imagine now that the air is warm, carrying the faint perfume of crushed herbs and early summer blooms. Torches are being lit along the streets. Their flames small and golden, casting soft halos of light that sway with the breeze. The people are gathering, not in haste, but with the calm, joyful steps of those who know a night of celebration is near. This is one of the first festivals of Rome. Not the grand spectacles you might picture from later centuries. No vast marble amphitheaters. No roaring crowds. Instead, a simple gathering. Neighbors, friends, families. all moving toward an open space near the heart of the settlement, where a wooden altar has been prepared. Women carry garlands of laurel and olive, their leaves whispering softly as they move. Children hold small clay lanterns, their faces glowing in the flicker of light. An old man plays a reed flute, a melody as gentle as the night wind. And slowly, the open space fills with people. They have come to honor the spirits of the fields, to thank them for the grain that grows in the soft earth, for the vines that twine through the hills, for the water that runs clear and steady through the Tiber. They do not speak loudly. Instead, their voices are low, woven into quiet songs. Songs that have been sung for generations. Imagine standing among them. The air is alive with the scent of smoke and flowers. A priest steps forward, his robe plain but clean, a circlet of woven straw upon his head. In his hands, a bowl of water taken from the river at dawn. He lifts it slowly, the torchlight glinting on its surface, and whispers a prayer that drifts like smoke into the sky. All around you, people bow their heads. They close their eyes. They breathe deeply, letting gratitude settle into their hearts. A mother hums softly to the baby at her breast. A young boy sets down his lantern and watches the priest with wide eyes. An elder kneels in the dust, pressing his fingertips to the earth in silent thanks. The flute's melody rises, joined now by the gentle strumming of a lyre. The notes weave together, slow and tender, like ripples on a still pond. Someone begins to dance, not with leaps or spins, but with small, deliberate steps, moving in a circle around the altar. Others join, their feet brushing the earth, their movements steady, calm, like the heartbeat of the land itself. A young girl approaches the altar with a small basket. Inside are grains of barley, shining pale in the torchlight. She scatters them onto the flames, and the air fills with a faint, sweet scent as the offering burns. The smoke rises, curling gently, carrying her wish for the fields. Grow strong. Feed us well. Keep us whole. You can almost hear the quiet crackle of the fire. See how its glow softens every face around you. There is no hurry here. Time seems to slow, each moment stretching into something timeless, something sacred. Later in the night, food is shared. Flatbread and figs, cheese wrapped in leaves, bowls of olives passed from hand to hand. Laughter begins to ripple through the crowd, low and warm, like embers glowing beneath ash. Someone tells an old story of the first king, Romulus, and how he watched over the city's earliest days. Children sit cross-legged, eyes wide, their imaginations carried far away on the storyteller's calm voice. As the hours pass, the torches burn low, but no one minds. The festival is not about spectacle. It is about feeling together, about the rhythm of life moving steadily on. A rhythm that matches the slow turning of the stars above. The priest sprinkles the last of the water on the altar. The music softens to a hum. The people begin to drift away, their lanterns bobbing like little stars through the streets. You walk among them in your mind, the night air cool on your skin, your heart full of the calm joy that lingers after a simple celebration. Back in their homes, the people lay down to sleep. They feel safe behind the wooden walls. They feel thankful for the earth beneath them. And as they close their eyes, they carry the festival's peace into their dreams. Imagine yourself now, resting under those same ancient skies. Feel the warmth of the torchlight fading gently. Hear the last notes of the flute drifting on the breeze. You are part of that night, part of that prayer, part of that quiet rhythm that has carried through centuries. Let that feeling wrap around you as you drift toward sleep. A soft song of gratitude, a gentle dance of firelight and shadow, a promise that life moves on, peaceful and steady, under the watch of the stars. The night around you is still. Your breath is slow and steady. And our story drifts once more into the soft twilight of early Rome. Imagine now that you stand at the edge of the settlement. Before you stretches a narrow road. Just a strip of packed earth, lined with stones that glint faintly in the late afternoon light. This is not yet the network of mighty Roman roads you may know from later tales. It is simpler, humbler, but it is enough to lead people from one village to another. Enough to carry carts and feet and dreams far beyond the hills. The road begins with footsteps. Farmers returning home after a day in the fields. Dust clinging to their sandals. Merchants pulling small wagons. Their loads covered with cloth. The soft jingle of harness rings marking their slow pace. A traveler pauses by the roadside shrine, offering a handful of grain to the spirit who keeps watch there. He bows his head, murmurs a blessing, and moves on. Along the road, low stone markers stand like silent sentinels, each one worn smooth by time and touch. They tell you how far you've come, and how far you have to go. But no one is in a hurry. This is not a world of haste. It is a world of patient journeys, where each step is taken with care. Each mile softened by the rhythm of steady breath and the whisper of wind through olive trees. Picture the hills on either side. They roll gently, their slopes dotted with vines and patches of grain. At dusk, the fields glow amber, and the shadows of farmers stretch long across the earth. In the distance, you hear the low call of cattle, the rustle of leaves, the faint rush of the Tiber moving toward the sea. A group of travelers passes by. A family carrying baskets. A trader with a bundle of wool on his back. They exchange quiet greetings. Their words simple and kind. One offers a fig to another, and the gift is accepted with a smile. No coins are exchanged. Only a moment of human warmth, like a lantern lit along a dark road. As night falls, the road does not feel lonely. Instead, it feels alive. A thread that connects lives and villages and distant dreams. Fireflies begin to glow in the grasses at its edge. A shepherd walks with his flock. The soft bleats of sheep mingling with the night sounds. Somewhere far off, an owl calls, and the sound carries like a lullaby through the cooling air. Travelers sometimes rest by the roadside, lighting a small fire to keep the chill away. They sit quietly, sharing bread, watching the stars emerge one by one. A father points out a bright constellation to his son, telling him the story of the hero it honors. His voice low, steady, woven with the crackle of firewood. The boy listens, eyes wide, his mind painting pictures of gods and legends that seem so close under the Roman sky. In the distance, beyond the next hill, the lights of another village twinkle faintly. The road leads there, and beyond that, to another place, and another. It is a road of possibilities. A path that promises new markets, new stories, and the quiet comfort of returning home when the journey is done. Now imagine walking that road yourself. Feel the earth firm beneath your feet. Smell the faint sweetness of crushed leaves. Hear the soft hum of insects in the dusk. Every step feels easy, every breath calm. The world is wide, but you are steady upon it. A part of its rhythm, a part of its endless, peaceful turning. As the night deepens, the travelers find shelter. The fires burn low, and the road lies quiet beneath the stars. The markers stand silently. The olive trees whisper in the breeze, and the moon spills silver light over everything, softening the edges of the world. You sit by that road now in your mind, feeling the stillness. There is no need to rush. There is no fear of where it leads. It is simply there. A path you can take when you are ready. A path watched over by the same sky that has seen countless footsteps before. Let that thought soothe you. That every road, no matter how far it goes, begins with a single step. And each step can be taken gently. With patience. With peace. Breathe slowly. Feel the calm of those early Roman nights. And as your eyes grow heavy, let the quiet road stretch onward in your dreams. Soft, endless. Under a canopy of ancient stars. The night is quiet where you are now. Your body is calm, your breathing steady. And together we wander again into the early days of Rome. To another moment of simple life unfolding under soft morning light. Picture yourself stepping into a small clearing near the heart of the settlement. The sun is just rising, spilling gold across the wooden stalls and woven baskets. This is the marketplace. Not yet grand, not crowded, but alive with a gentle hum of voices and the soft clatter of daily trade. The ground is packed earth, cool beneath your feet. A few stones mark the edges of the space. Around you, simple stalls made of timber and canvas lean toward each other like friendly neighbors. Each one holds treasures of its own. Bundles of herbs tied with twine. Rows of clay pots still warm from the kiln. Wicker trays filled with figs and dates glistening in the morning sun. Listen closely. You can hear the murmur of sellers greeting early visitors. No one shouts here. Instead, they speak softly, offering their wares with a smile and a kind word. An old woman arranges sprigs of rosemary and thyme, their scent drifting through the air. A young potter smooths the rim of a jug with his thumb, his hands still dusted with clay. Children dart between the stalls, their laughter bright but not too loud, like birds calling to one another. One pauses to peek at a cage where a few small birds hop and chirp. Another leans close to a basket of apples, breathing in their sweet, sharp scent. A mother gently takes her child's hand, guiding them through the crowd with patient steps. Somewhere near the center, a man with a short, trimmed beard offers bread. The loaves are still warm, steam curling from the crust. He tears one open to show the soft inside. And the smell is comforting. Wheat and fire and morning all at once. A passerby nods, smiles, and trades a few small bronze tokens for a loaf. The bread is wrapped in a leaf, a gift from the earth itself. Near the edge of the market, a farmer brings in a crate of olives. Their dark skins shine in the sun, and when he tips them into a shallow bowl, they roll softly against one another with a sound like pebbles in a stream. Another seller offers goat's milk in clay jars, each sealed with a strip of cloth tied neatly at the top. He explains, quietly, how the goats are grazing well this season, how the hillsides are green and generous. A small shrine stands near the marketplace. It is simple, just a flat stone with a carved figure of a household god. Before beginning their trade, many pause there for a moment, touching the stone, whispering a short prayer for fair dealings and safe returns. The smoke of a tiny offering drifts upward, blending with the morning mist. As the sun climbs higher, the hum of voices grows steadier. Not loud, never hurried. Just the easy rhythm of life. A man compares the weave of two baskets, running his hands along the reeds. A woman barters for a handful of herbs, offering a little spool of wool in return. No one feels cheated. No one feels rushed. Each exchange is simple, human, kind. Beyond the market, you can see the hills rising softly. And beyond them, the faint shimmer of the river. The air carries the scent of baking bread, of crushed leaves, and of clay drying in the sun. A breeze moves through the stalls, lifting the edges of canvas canopies, stirring the smoke from small cooking fires. You close your eyes and simply breathe it in. This gentle, early Rome, alive and calm in its own rhythm. Later in the day, musicians arrive with their humble instruments. One strums a lyre, each note falling like drops of clear water. Another plays a flute. It sounds soft and wandering, as if it too is exploring the market's corners. The children sit to listen, quiet now, enchanted by the melody. Even the sellers pause, hands resting on their baskets and jars, smiles warming their faces. As the sun begins to dip again, the marketplace slowly quiets. Stalls are packed up, goods wrapped carefully and carried home. But no one rushes. They linger a while, chatting softly with neighbors, sharing news of crops and weather, wishing one another peace. And as they walk back through the gates, they carry with them the gentle hum of the day. A memory of connection, of simple trade, of community. Imagine now that you stand in that market. The light is fading. The air still carries the sweetness of herbs and bread. And all around you is the calm of a people who live in harmony with the earth and with each other. You feel the rhythm of their lives, steady and kind. You feel safe among them, welcomed, at peace. Carry that peace with you now. As you rest, let the memory of the Roman market hum softly in your mind. A lullaby of footsteps, voices, and music. And as you drift into dreams, imagine the stars appearing over the hills, watching over the quiet market, over the little city, and over you. The evening deepens around you, and once again we wander together into the quiet heart of ancient Rome. This time, follow me beyond the busy marketplace, beyond the winding lanes, toward the low stone walls that cradle the settlement like a protective arm. These walls are not the towering fortifications of later centuries. They are simple, sturdy, built of rough stones and packed earth, topped with wooden posts bound by rope. Yet, in their time, they are enough to make the people feel safe. Enough to hold the city's breath within, like a mother cradling her sleeping child. As dusk settles, the watch changes. One man climbs the narrow ladder to the guard post, his steps slow and deliberate. He carries no heavy armor, only a cloak against the night air, and a simple spear, its tip glinting faintly in the fading light. He greets the man before him with a quiet nod, and the other climbs down, stretching his tired arms, ready to rest after hours of gentle watch. Up on the wall, the view stretches wide. The land beyond the settlement softens in the dimming light. Hills like sleeping giants. The river winding silver through the distance. Small fires flicker in far-off fields where farmers finish their work. And overhead, the first stars begin to appear. Tiny lanterns hung in the vast sky. The watcher leans on his spear, listening. The air carries sounds in whispers. The distant call of a night bird, the rustle of wind in dry grass, the low murmur of voices from within the walls. There is no threat, only the stillness of an early world resting after a day's labor. He breathes in slowly, filling his lungs with the cool scent of earth and pine. Far below, a second watcher walks the base of the wall. His torchlight glows soft against the stones, casting long shadows that sway with each step. He pauses now and then, placing a hand on the wall itself, feeling its solid presence, as if it holds not just stones but memories. He knows this wall has seen storms and summers, festivals and funerals, births and farewells. And through it all, it has stood quietly, watching, guarding, waiting. Imagine yourself sitting on that wall. Your legs dangle over the side. The cool stone beneath you. The night air brushing gently against your face. You look out at the darkening hills, and something in you feels calm, because you know you are safe here, protected by hands that built these walls with care. In the distance, a low horn sounds. Not an alarm, just the soft signal marking the hour. Its tone drifts over the fields like a wave, settling softly on the ears of anyone still awake. Within the walls, lamps are being lit in homes. Faint laughter echoes from a doorway. The smell of soup drifts upward, mixed with the faint sweetness of crushed mint leaves. The watcher smiles to himself, knowing his city is alive and well behind him. He hums a tune, something his mother sang when he was a boy. The melody is simple, no more than a handful of notes, but it carries across the night like a lullaby. The other watchers pick up the hum quietly, until the wall itself seems to sing, a soft song that mingles with the breeze. Hours pass slowly on the wall. The moon rises, silver and calm. Shadows grow long, then soften. From time to time, the watcher walks the length of his post, his sandals brushing lightly against the stones, his eyes scanning the horizon not with fear, but with gentle patience. Every so often he stops, leans on the railing, and simply watches the river glimmer in the moonlight. By midnight, the city is deeply asleep. The marketplace is dark. The hearths are low, and even the animals rest quietly in their pens. Only the watchers remain awake, their figures outlined softly by torchlight, their thoughts drifting like slow clouds. Imagine leaning back against that wall now. Feel its strength at your back. Listen to the night wind carry the watcher's hum. Feel the ancient safety that lives in those stones. A safety built from community, from care, from time itself. The world beyond may be wide and unknown, but within these walls, all is calm. All is steady. Let that calm fill you now. Let your breath match the quiet rhythm of the watcher's steps. Let your mind rest against the stone as if it were your own pillow. The night is deep. The stars are bright. And you are safe within the embrace of ancient Rome's humble walls. Close your eyes for a moment. Let the stillness of the night surround you. Feel your breath rise and fall, calm and steady. Now follow me, as we step once more into the ancient city, leaving behind the walls and watchtowers, walking quietly through narrow lanes lit by the soft glow of oil lamps. Beyond these lanes, tucked behind modest homes, are spaces that only a few ever see. Small gardens, private and peaceful, tended by careful hands through the turning seasons. The people of early Rome loved their gardens. Not grand villas, not sweeping estates, but quiet corners where life bloomed gently. In the heart of their simple lives. Push open a wooden gate and step inside. The air changes instantly. Outside there was the sound of distant voices and carts. But here, there is only the rustle of leaves, the trickle of a small clay fountain, and the scent of herbs growing in neat little rows. In one corner grows rosemary, its green needles brushing against your fingers as you pass. Nearby, broad leaves of sage spread low over the soil, their soft texture like velvet. Mint peeks through, fresh and cool, its fragrance sharp enough to wake you, but gentle enough to soothe. These are not just for flavor. They are for healing, for blessing, for quiet offerings left at household shrines. At the center of the garden, a shallow basin collects rainwater. A single frog rests on its edge, blinking slowly, unafraid. The water reflects the pale light of the moon, and when the breeze stirs, ripples shimmer across its surface, like silver threads weaving a story of their own. A fig tree stands tall along the wall, its branches spread wide, leaves large enough to catch the night air, fruit hidden like small treasures among them. An old man, the owner of this home, sits beneath that tree on a low stool. His hands are rough from work, but gentle as he ties a sprig of thyme into a small bundle for drying. He hums a tune older than memory, a song his grandmother once sang to him in another garden, long ago. From another corner comes the faint scent of flowers, simple white blossoms that open only at night. They tilt their faces toward the moon, as if whispering secrets to her silver light. Bees are gone now, asleep in their hives. But a few moths drift softly through the air, their wings catching the glow from a nearby lamp. Imagine yourself sitting there in the cool earth, your back against the rough stone wall. The sounds of the city fading away. All you hear is the fountain's trickle, the leaves stirring, and the steady, peaceful hum of the old man's voice. You watch as he gathers seeds into a clay bowl, each one a promise of future growth. He holds them carefully, whispers a blessing, and sets them aside. As the hours slip by, the moon climbs higher, casting soft silver across the garden paths. A breeze stirs the fig leaves. A lizard scurries quietly along the wall. Somewhere beyond, a dog barks once, then settles back into silence. This little space feels timeless. It could be any night, in any year, and still it would hold the same peace. The Romans believed their gardens were not just for food or beauty, but for the soul. Places to speak with the household gods, to remember ancestors, to sit quietly and feel the world's heartbeat. Here, they planted not only herbs, but hopes. They watered not only soil, but their own weary hearts. You feel that now, don't you? The deep stillness. The way the air seems alive with gentle magic. You lean back, close your eyes, and let the garden hold you. Its earth cradles your feet. Its scents fill your senses. Its night sounds lull you toward rest. The old man finishes his work, places the bundles of herbs in a basket, and stands slowly. He pauses by the fountain, touches the water, then raises his damp fingers to the stars in a simple gesture of gratitude. He does not speak, but you feel the words in your heart. Thank you for another day. Thank you for the peace of night. As he walks back toward the house, the lamplight fades, but the moon remains, watching over the sleeping garden. And you remain there in your mind, wrapped in the soft rhythm of leaves and water and night air. Let your breath match that rhythm now. Slow, even, gentle. And as your eyes grow heavy, let the hidden gardens of ancient Rome bloom softly in your dreams. A quiet refuge, a cradle of peace, held forever in the heart of history. The night is still, and your breath is steady. Let us wander again. Not through gardens this time, but along the edges of Rome where quiet workers shape the bones of a future city. Picture the early dawn. Soft gray light spilling across the hills. A thin mist curls through the low valleys. And somewhere far away, a rooster calls. Here, men gather with tools in their hands. Not warriors, not merchants, but builders. Their task is not for today alone. It is for generations yet unborn. To bring the gift of water to a thirsty city. You walk with them along a path of packed earth. The air is cool. A cart creaks under the weight of stones, each one shaped and smoothed by careful hands. The men speak in low voices, discussing the slope of the land, the strength of the mortar, the alignment of arches that will one day rise like a line of sentinels across the fields. In the distance, you see the beginnings of their work. Pillars of stone, some only knee-high, others reaching your shoulder, each set carefully into the earth. They stand in a row, a path traced by human vision and patience. Between them, planks of wood stretch as temporary guides, their edges marked with charcoal lines that speak a language of measure and balance. A master builder kneels by a pillar, running his hand along the stone's surface. He listens not only with his ears but with his fingertips, feeling for flaws, for hidden cracks. Satisfied, he nods, and a young apprentice brings another stone, lifting it with slow, steady effort. They fit it into place, And the sound it makes, a soft, final click, is like a heartbeat in the quiet morning. The aqueduct begins to rise. Stone by stone. Arch by arch. There is no rush. Every movement is measured. Every decision careful. They know the water must flow gently. Not too fast. Not too slow. It is a work of art as much as engineering. A bridge not only for water but for life itself. Imagine standing beneath an arch as it takes shape. Above you, wooden scaffolds creak softly in the breeze. Dust drifts down in lazy spirals, catching the light of the rising sun. You hear the rhythmic tap of chisels, the low murmur of builders sharing advice, the scrape of stone against stone. No one shouts. No one hurries. This is sacred work. A gift to the city. A promise of future harvests. Future baths. Future fountains that will sing in Roman courtyards. As midday comes, the builders pause. They sit together on fallen stones, sharing bread and olives from small baskets. Someone laughs softly at a memory. Another hums a tune that blends with the distant call of birds. They pass around a clay jar of cool water. Each sip a reminder of why they labor. They dream aloud of a day when every home will have fresh water. When gardens will bloom even in dry months. When Rome will grow strong and generous. In the afternoon light, work resumes. A mason smooths mortar with the flat of his trowel. The sunlight catching on wet stone like silver. A boy carries small tools, watching every movement. Learning not from books but from the rhythm of hands and eyes and hearts working in harmony. You walk further along the line of arches. Some are complete now, rising high above the ground, casting long shadows that stretch like fingers across the earth. Stand beneath one and look up. The sky beyond is blue and endless. The stone above is warm from the sun. Each block a story of effort. Each joint a testament to patience. You run your hand along the rough surface, feeling the life in it, the breath of those who built it. As evening falls, the builders pack their tools. The scaffolds stand quiet. The arches glow gold in the fading light. No ceremony marks the end of the day. Only tired smiles and gentle nods as they walk homeward. But in their hearts, they know they are part of something enduring. They are shaping Rome itself, one patient stone at a time. Imagine walking back with them, the cool night air brushing your face, the rhythm of your steps matching theirs. Behind you, the half-built aqueduct stands against the twilight, a promise written in stone. Before you, the city glows softly, lamps flickering in windows, smoke rising from evening fires. You feel safe. You feel calm. Because you have seen the care, the craft, the love that holds this city together. Now, as you rest, carry that image in your heart. Arches rising toward the sky. Water flowing gently. A city growing strong through the quiet labor of builders. Let that steady rhythm guide your breath. Slow and peaceful. And as sleep takes you, imagine the moon rising over those stone arches, watching silently as Rome dreams of tomorrow. The night is quiet, and your breathing is calm. Let us wander together again. This time to a place where voices once gathered, where ideas rose like birds in flight. The ancient Roman Forum. It is early. So early that the sky is only beginning to pale. The first faint blush of dawn lies over the hills, and the air carries the cool scent of night. You step onto worn stone paths, smooth from countless footsteps, each step a memory. The Forum rests in a shallow valley, surrounded by simple buildings. Markets, meeting places, small shrines. But at this hour, it is hushed and still. A great open space waiting for the day to begin. Columns stand like sentinels, their shadows long and soft in the first light. The marble beneath your feet feels cool and solid. And in the distance, a single bird calls to the morning. Imagine yourself walking slowly between the columns. You can almost hear the whispers of the past. Here, merchants once set up wooden stalls, laying out baskets of figs and olives, bright fabrics, clay lamps, little bronze charms. Here, citizens gathered to hear speeches, to argue, to agree, to dream aloud of what their city could become. But now, before sunrise, all those echoes are gentle and far away. A small group of early workers arrives. They carry brooms of bundled twigs, sweeping the paving stones, stirring up faint clouds of dust that drift like mist. One man hums a tune, and another joins in softly. Their song is low and comforting, a rhythm to guide their work. At the center of the forum stands an altar, simple and unadorned, where offerings were once left for the household gods of the city. A woman in a plain cloak approaches quietly, carrying a small bowl. She kneels, places a handful of grain upon the stone, and whispers a prayer. The words are lost to time, but you can feel their meaning. Gratitude for the new day, hope for her family's safety. The sun edges higher now, its light catching on the tops of the columns, painting them gold. The shadows shrink, and the stones seem to warm beneath your feet. A few merchants begin to arrive, their carts creaking softly. They greet one another with low voices, their words mingling with the rustle of cloth and the clink of pottery. One lays out his figs, arranging them carefully as if each were a jewel. Another unrolls a strip of bright-dyed wool, its color glowing in the early light. You pause beside a stall and run your fingers gently across a row of small clay lamps. Their surfaces are smooth, their designs simple. Sunbursts, leaves, little birds etched in the clay. The merchant smiles faintly, not to sell, but simply because you have noticed. It is a quiet connection, a moment of shared peace in the waking city. At the far end of the forum, a group of men gathers to speak. Not loudly, not yet. They talk in low tones about water supplies, about the harvest, about small matters that weave together into the life of the city. Their gestures are calm, their faces thoughtful. You stand a little apart, watching them in the golden light, and feel the slow heartbeat of a community. The forum is alive now, but still gentle. There is no rush, no crowd, only the steady unfolding of morning. A child runs past, chasing a small dog, their laughter carrying across the stones like music. An old man rests on a step, his hands folded on his knees, watching the merchants set up, watching the world wake. As the sun climbs higher, the columns cast shorter shadows, and the forum begins to hum softly with life. But there is still a sense of calm, as if time itself is stretching and breathing slowly. You walk to the edge of the space and look back. The buildings stand quiet. The altar glows faintly, and the stones remember every step, every voice, every dream. Let that vision rest in your heart now. The forum at dawn, a place where past and present meet in soft light, where voices rise not in chaos but in gentle harmony. Feel the cool stone beneath your feet, the warmth of the morning sun on your face, the calm rhythm of a city waking with care. Breathe in deeply, slowly, and as you exhale, let go of the weight of your own day. Imagine yourself seated on a worn step, watching merchants smile, hearing birds greet the sky, feeling the deep, steady peace of Rome as it stirs to life. And as you close your eyes, the forum fades into a soft glow, a memory cradled in history, a lullaby sung by stone and sunlight. The night has fallen once more. And we drift together through ancient streets. Take a slow breath. Let your shoulders relax. Imagine the city of Rome, not in the bright rush of day, but in the tender hush of evening, when lamps begin to glow. You walk along a narrow stone path. The heat of the day has faded, leaving the air soft and cool. Above you, the sky deepens to a dark velvet. Stars appearing one by one, each a tiny silver lantern in the heavens. Around you, the sounds of the city soften. No shouting vendors now. No clattering carts. Only the distant murmur of conversation. The padding steps of someone returning home. And the faint strum of a lyre from an unseen courtyard. Ahead, you see the first lamp flicker to life. It hangs from a simple bronze hook beside a doorway. The flame within is small, but steady, casting a pool of golden light onto the stones. The lamp is shaped like a leaf. Its edges curl gently. Its surface smooth from years of use. A thin ribbon of smoke curls upward, vanishing into the night air. Step closer. Feel the warmth of that glow on your hands. It is not bright like the sun, but gentle. A light that soothes rather than startles. Inside the home, shadows move softly. A woman preparing supper. A child finishing a quiet task. A grandfather resting, eyes half closed, listening to the night beyond the walls. You continue down the path, and more lamps awaken. One is carved with the image of a dolphin, its tail curled gracefully around the spout. Another bears a pattern of tiny stars, the flame dancing behind them, making the shapes come alive. Each lamp is different. Each tells a story of the hands that shaped it, the family that tends it. In the center of a small square, a larger lamp stands high on a pillar. Children gather beneath it, their faces lit with wonder as they play simple games. One child tosses a small stone. Another laughs softly, clapping their hands in delight. The lamp's light spills over them like a blessing, chasing away the darkness, keeping them safe in this circle of warmth. Nearby, a group of neighbors shares a quiet conversation. They speak of the harvest, of the weather, of their hopes for tomorrow. Their voices are low and kind, carried gently on the night breeze. The lamps flicker in rhythm with their words, like the steady heartbeat of the city itself. You notice how the lamps transform the streets. In daylight, these stones are simple, but now they shine softly, each curve and edge catching the glow. The shadows they cast are long and gentle, stretching like dreams across the path. Even the smallest insects seem calmer here. Moths circling lazily, drawn to the light but never afraid. Step into a nearby workshop. Its door half open. Inside, a lamp maker works late. He sits at a low bench, his hands shaping clay with slow precision. He smooths the surface with a wet cloth, carves a delicate pattern of leaves, and sets it aside to dry. Beside him, finished lamps rest in rows, their shapes varied and beautiful, waiting for flames that will one day light someone's home. The lamp maker hums softly, a tune as old as the city itself. You thank him with a nod and return to the night. The streets seem alive now, not with noise, but with quiet beauty. Every lamp is like a star brought down to earth, a guardian against the darkness, a reminder that even in night, there is warmth. Imagine sitting on a worn stone step, watching these lights flicker. The air is cool on your skin. You hear the gentle rustle of leaves overhead, and somewhere far off, the soft rush of water in an aqueduct. The world feels safe, held in the embrace of countless tiny flames. As the hours pass, the city grows stiller. One by one, doors close. Children are carried inside, their heads resting on tired shoulders. The lamps continue to burn. Their flames steady. Their light unwavering. They will keep watch through the night. Just as they have for centuries. Just as they will for centuries more. Now close your eyes and hold that image. A city wrapped in the glow of lamps. Each one a promise. Each one a gentle comfort. Let your breath slow to match the rhythm of their flicker. Feel the peace of Rome at night. Its streets softened by warm light. Its people resting in safety. And as you drift into sleep, imagine those lamps still burning. Their light reaching across time to touch you. A soft golden glow in the darkness. A whisper that says, "Rest now. You are safe. You are home." It is late afternoon now in our wandering dream of ancient Rome. The sun hovers low, spilling golden light across the hills. And the long roads stretch out before you like ribbons of stone. Take a slow breath. Let your shoulders soften. Let us walk these roads together, step by calm step, until we find where they lead. You stand at the edge of the city. Behind you rise the rooftops of Rome, their tiles glowing in the fading sun. Ahead, the great Roman roads begin. Straight, purposeful, reaching toward distant horizons. They are marvels of craft. Laid stone upon stone. Lined with milestones carved with careful hands. Beneath your feet, the surface is smooth but strong. Built to endure centuries. Built to carry travelers, merchants, and soldiers alike. You take the first step. The road feels firm, trustworthy. On either side, fields sway gently in the evening breeze. Olive trees stand in neat rows, their silver leaves shimmering. Somewhere in the distance, a shepherd guides his flock toward shelter. Their bells chiming softly like distant lullabies. Along the road, you pass a small way station. A stone trough holds cool water for weary animals. A man sits nearby repairing a sandal. His hands moving slowly, rhythmically. He glances up and smiles a simple, kind smile. And then returns to his work, humming a tune older than memory. Further along, you notice the subtle genius of the road itself. Its center is slightly raised, allowing rainwater to run off into narrow ditches. Each stone is placed with care, fitted so tightly that the path seems seamless. Your footsteps echo softly, a steady cadence that blends with the evening sounds. Soon you approach a small village tucked beside the road. Smoke rises from low chimneys. Children play near a fountain, splashing water that catches the sunset light. An old woman sits weaving a basket, her fingers moving with patient skill. She looks up as you pass and nods. A gesture that feels like welcome, like belonging. As you leave the village, the road climbs gently. The air grows cooler, and the sky deepens into shades of amber and rose. Travelers move alongside you now. A merchant leading a donkey laden with clay pots. A soldier returning home with his helmet tucked under his arm. A young couple walking hand in hand. Their quiet laughter drifting like music in the air. Every so often, a milestone stands at the edge of the road. Its surface carved with words that have outlived empires. The distance to Rome. The names of those who built the road. A testament to time and patience. You run your fingers across one of these stones. It is rough, cool to the touch. But steady, so steady. You feel the strength of countless journeys passing through this very place. The sun dips lower. Shadows stretch long and soft across the road. A soft wind stirs the dust, carrying with it the scent of earth and wild herbs crushed underfoot. Somewhere, a distant bell tolls, marking the coming of night. Ahead, you see a rest station and inn for travelers. A lantern glows by the doorway, casting a pool of light on the stones. Inside, you hear the low murmur of conversation, the clink of simple clay cups, the scrape of a chair on the floor. A host steps outside, wiping his hands on his apron, and gestures toward a bench. You sit. The stone is warm from the day's sun. And for a moment, you simply breathe. The road stretches onward still, disappearing into the twilight. You imagine where it leads. To distant villages. To mountain passes. To coasts where the sea sings against the shore. But tonight, you need not go farther. Tonight, you rest here, feeling the heartbeat of the road beneath you. As darkness deepens, stars blossom in the sky, each one reflected faintly in the smooth stones at your feet. The lantern by the inn flickers softly, a gentle echo of the road's enduring spirit. Around you, the quiet hum of the evening continues. A low laugh from inside the inn. The distant call of a night bird. The whisper of wind in the olive trees. Let that image stay with you. The long Roman road. Strong and steadfast, guiding countless souls home. Feel the peace in its unbroken line. The comfort in knowing that wherever you wander, a path leads back, steady and sure. Take another slow breath. Close your eyes. The road remains beneath your feet. And in your heart, a calm knowing. You are never truly lost. The way home is always there. Waiting, patient. Carved in stone. Lit by the soft glow of evening lamps. And watched over by the endless, gentle stars. The night has deepened. Rome, the eternal city, rests under a blanket of stars. You and I stand once more on a quiet hill, looking down upon the rooftops, upon the winding streets, upon the city that has carried us through time. Breathe slowly. Feel the cool air on your skin, the stillness that settles over everything. When the world finally exhales at the end of the day. Below, the lamps still glow softly. They dot the streets like fallen stars, each one guarding a doorway, each one a promise of warmth within. The Tiber River glimmers in the distance, its slow waters carrying moonlight like silver threads. You listen. There is no clamor, no marketplace cries, no hammer striking bronze, no voices raised in debate. Only the distant rhythm of the river, and the soft sigh of the breeze as it moves through cypress trees. The city feels alive in its stillness, a living memory wrapped in night. You wander down from the hill. Your steps are unhurried. The road beneath you familiar now, worn by countless others who have walked before. Each step carries a whisper of history. A merchant returning home, a poet searching for a line of verse, a child chasing a shadow in the moonlight. You pause by a small shrine tucked into a corner wall. A tiny oil lamp burns before a carved figure, its flame steady despite the breeze. Someone has left a sprig of rosemary, and the scent drifts warmly in the air. You bow your head, not in prayer, but in gratitude. Gratitude for the road you have walked, for the stories that have kept you company, for the peace of this night. Deeper into the streets you go. Here is a bakery, its oven still warm from the day's bread. A cat curls on the doorstep, tail wrapped neatly around itself, breathing slow, steady breaths. A little further on, you pass the outline of the Colosseum against the stars. Silent now, but you can almost hear distant echoes. Cheers, laughter, the hum of life, fading gently into the night air. At last you reach the Forum again. By night it is transformed. The columns are pale ghosts in the moonlight, the stones soft underfoot, the air filled with the hush of ancient time. You sit upon a worn step and look around. This place, so full of voices by day, is now a cradle of silence. It feels eternal, as if the stones themselves are dreaming. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the weight of centuries around you. Not heavy, but comforting. Like a quilt made of stories, each thread a life, each patch a memory. Above, the stars will slowly. You imagine Roman astronomers long ago, watching these same lights, charting their paths, wondering at their secrets. The sky feels vast, endless, but not lonely. It is a canopy of calm, and you are safe beneath it. Your journey through the city has come full circle. From the bustling streets of morning markets to the quiet glow of lamps at night, you have walked with Rome, felt its heartbeat, heard its whispers. And now, as the city sleeps, you feel its peace settle gently into your own heart. Breathe slowly. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Let your thoughts soften. Let your body rest. Imagine the city cradling you. Stone streets and starlit skies wrapping around you like a lullaby. Somewhere, a distant bell rings once. The sound drifts through the air, echoing softly against the ancient walls. It is not a call to wake, but a reminder that time moves gently here, unfolding like a slow river, never rushed. You lie back on the cool stone step, looking up at the endless sky. The scent of rosemary lingers, and the night breeze carries a promise that history never truly leaves, that stories remain, that you are part of something vast and timeless. The eternal city sleeps, and so do you. Your eyes close. Your breath deepens. The stars wheel overhead, patient and kind. And as you drift into dreams, you carry with you the calm roads, the warm glow of lamps, the whispers of the Forum, and the heartbeat of Rome itself. Steady, eternal, and at peace. Sleep now. You are safe. You are home.